If you're like most business owners, you spend time or money getting a website built, maybe even pay for copy, design, templates, and I'll just pretty much sit there. You're paying for hosting. It looks decent, but it doesn't bring in any leads. It doesn't book calls, and worst of all, it just kind of becomes like another bill, another expense, right? You probably got this website thinking, hey, look, there's gonna be another asset for our business, revenue generating asset. If you paid somebody, they probably promised you something like that was gonna bring you leads. If you did it yourself, you probably invested a bunch of time, got super excited, thinking that's what it was going to do for you. But the truth is, do you know that's not what happened, right? You have something sitting there, you're paying for it monthly, and it's not doing nothing for you. And the truth is, it's not your product, it's not your niche, it's not your traffic. Most likely, it's this one section of your website that is causing you all this damage. All right, and it's your hero section. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact framework that I used to fix that. And it's the same one that I use for Luke Belmar, Sneeko, Luke Alexander, and a bunch of my other clients for their websites that have generated more than $5 million collectively. All right, so we're going to do this without running ads. We're going to do this without rebuilding the entire site. We're going to do this without crazy fancy animations, design tools, nothing like that. It's going to be clean structure and psychology. All right, this isn't really a design focused video. The purpose of this video is to teach you the strategy behind this super important section of your website, which is the hero section. That's the first section that you see on your website. It's the first thing people see, most important section. I'm going to show you how to do it right, all right? Because a lot of people aren't doing this right. So this is pretty much just a portion of our entire framework. This is for a new agency called Vertex Studios. And I had my old agency, Antics. We've been running that since 2021, full time. Been making websites since about 2018, and we've worked with a bunch of super awesome clients. Super blessed to have been able to work with everybody that we did. And through this time, I noticed most of my clients were in the coaching info product space. So what I did is I collected all this kind of data from their websites, and I looked at, from the best performing clients and websites that we created, which components were kind of repetitive, put together a framework following not only, my findings, but other people's findings as well. And this is just one portion of our framework. We have something like this for every single section of our clients' websites. But today I'm going to share with you the framework that we use for what I would consider the most important section of your website, the header. All right, so what is the purpose of the header? The purpose of the header is to hook the visitor's attention immediately. You want to show the visitor that you understand their problem, and not only do you want to show them that you understand their problem, but you want to create enough interest and curiosity to keep them reading and instill even more trust. Okay, so I usually do door-to-door sales, right? And we had this really cool saying when we did door-to-door sales, and it was on the porch you're a pest, in the house you're a guest, something like that. And pretty much what that meant is, like, when you're on the porch, when you're in some outside of somebody's house, that's not when you're trying to sell them. Your main goal on that porch is to get inside the house. Once you're in the house, now you sell them. Okay? Because why? In the house, you're a guest. The perception is different. They're going to trust you more. Now the law of reciprocity is kicking in. You've provided clearly enough value for them to let you inside their house. Now they probably going to bring you a cup of water. You're going to hold your frame. We can do something very similar with our websites, right? So where am I going with this? What does this sales tactic have to do with our hero section? It has to do a lot with our hero section. All right. What most people try to do with the first section of their website is one of two things. Either one, they try to make it look all deep and cool and fancy and aesthetic. They put a super cool hero big image or video and then some like super deep text that most people don't even understand what they're even saying or trying to sell. Or they oversell people, right? They over deliver. They have these crazy promises. They're trying to sell you. They're offering you a bunch of things. Call to action here, call to action there. Book a call now. It's like, brother, I don't even trust you yet. like I'm not even interested, and you're trying to sell me right here on this first section. Rather than do it, this can work though if you are sending warm traffic to your landing page. Okay, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. This is mainly in the context of people who are running coaching info offers and are sending cold traffic or lukewarm traffic to their landing pages. Okay, so these people might not fully trust you yet. They've probably seen one or two of your videos, probably short form content. They haven't dove into your long form content, and this is where they're getting sent. This is their first touch point. Okay, the hero section should hook your visitor. So what does that mean? They're going on your website and they're not going to leave now. Now they want to scroll to the rest of it because they're interested and they are curious. Now that we got their interest, now that we piqued their curiosity and we got them to scroll through the rest of our website, now we use the rest of our framework to sell them. This is the same thing as a sales call. It's the same thing as doing door-to-door sales, except we're doing this digitally. All right, we're understanding the customer's journey. They're getting on the website, probably in the middle of something. They probably got something to do. We want to interrupt that. Pattern interrupt, hook them, get them to keep reading. All right, and then sprinkle some trust on top of there, because if we're gonna get them to keep reading, we gotta we gotta frame ourselves as a trustworthy individual. Okay, so there's a few key elements that go into being able to do this properly on your hero section. All right, so number one, the announcement bar. This is self-explanatory. This is a bar that goes on the very tip top of your website. What I seen to work best with an announcement bar is doing something, and you can write this or position this however you want to, but the point of the announcement bar, in my opinion, isn't to announce anything, rather than the fact that, like my program is up to date, right? So put something with a date there, like the month and the year, because what you want people to see right there is that, like, okay, this person's still actively doing this offer. Okay, this is still relevant right now, right? Because in the world of such fast-paced, fast-moving businesses, people are starting businesses, and then in 2 months they're not doing it no more, or their offer's changing, or maybe they had some type of offer that they were doing before, they adjusted it, and it's not really that same offer. You want to show people on the announcement bar, like, this is still relevant, this is still applicable, this is still my offer, I'm still doing this, I'm still active out here. This is what this is telling you. All right, some creative ways that you can do this. Okay, so I even got some formulas here. I'll give you a little peek at what this one is. All right, so this is for creating your announcement bar with AI. All right, so you can go ahead and pause this video, but these are some ideas. Just updated March 29, 2025 with new benefit, registration closing, put a date, new feature, target audience, 2025 spring, updated today. So you see how we're positioning this to tell the person, like, yo, bro, we're doing this still. Don't worry. Like, this is still active. Of course, you're not wasting your time here. That's the first step. All right. The next key element is your trust bar. Okay. So your trust bar, we're going to take advantage of the visual hierarchy principle, and we're going to put this somewhere at the top of your website, because we want to subconsciously instill trust into your visitor. So it should be right below the navigation, and you want this to be scannable, right? You don't want to put too much information. You want to do something easily scannable, like if you have a bunch of students, 500 plus students, 12 million generated through student results, 100 plus positive reviews, bullet point, social proof elements, right? Success, volume of students or clients, reviews, things like that, instilling the trust. Then you have your pre-headline. Your pre-headline is going to call out your avatar, right? When this person lands on your website, you want them to immediately know, hey, you're in the right place. Don't go nowhere. This is exactly where you're supposed to be, right? So you're going to call them out. And you're going to call them out. The more specific of a call out you can have, the better, right? So obviously, hey, business owners might not perform as, hey, info product owners selling B2C, BizOp programs via WAP. Which one do you think is going to perform better, right? If that's what I'm targeting and I have that pre-headline and somebody is that exact customer avatar and they see that, they're going to know, okay, damn, this is like I'm gonna give this a little shot because this looks like it's made exactly for me, specifically for me, right? Then we go right under that and we use our main headline to build curiosity and hook the visitor. This main headline is so important, and if you do this right, this can be the difference between your landing page having an insane conversion rate and actually being an asset for your business to it just being another bill, right? And I'll have another framework. I'll probably show it to you towards the end of the video or link it somewhere in the description, where I'll show you how to use AI to create these main headlines. All right, right after the main headline, we have the sub headline. This is to introduce even more curiosity and, if possible, highlight what makes us unique, right? And we do this to build on the main headline. We want to let them know what it is that we're delivering them and how we're delivering that to them without a certain pain that they might assume would come with this delivery mechanism. Okay, again, I'm speaking in the context of coaches, info product sellers, people like that. Although this can probably work, this most likely will work with almost any other type of business. All right. After that, we include the big 3 bullets. I got this one from Alex Hormozy. Works super good on landing pages. All right. So pretty much what this does is this includes the benefit they will get and any limited time deliverables that are included in the offer. So I'll click on this so you can see what the big 3 bullets are. You can go ahead and pause it. But pretty much it's a proof bullet, a process bullet, and a promise bullet. So a proof bullet, here's some examples. Process bullet, works even if common objection, no need for common barrier, takes only short time frame. And the promise bullet is what they're going to get, their end result. So here's some examples for fitness coach. Helped 1,000 plus clients lose 20 pounds in 90 days. Process, 30-minute workout, no gym required. Promise, get lean and strong without giving up your favorite foods. All right, this is super powerful. And again, you can see what we're doing here. All of our elements are very easily scannable. I'm not putting in huge paragraphs of text. I'm not putting in, some headlines that aren't clear and just, even though they might sound cool, they don't really make sense, right? We want this to be a functional website. So right after you have the big 3 bullets, you have a review carousel widget, right? So what is a carousel widget? It's pretty much like you have reviews and they just keep sliding and showing a bunch of different reviews, right? So what's the benefit to this? You're showing that you have a high volume of success, right? Again, instilling even more trust, showing that, hey, look, there's a bunch of people that have trusted me before. Why not you, right? So having something that doesn't take up too much space, showing nice, subtle, straight to the point reviews, right? Just one sentence of what somebody said and go from there. Right under that, you're going to have your call to action, or not necessarily right under that, but there's no specific order to this, and I'll show you some examples of how you can actually lay this out. But then you're going to have your call to action. Again, for your call to action, you don't want to be sign up now, get started. That's too basic. Have it be tied to your end result. Have it be tied to what they're getting. If you have some type of lead magnet, have it be tied to a lead magnet. If you can make your call to action be a little bit more value based, like they're getting something, and tell them what they're getting when they click that button, that's most ideal, right? So free consultation, free training, whatever it is. But right under that, what you want to do is have some type of trust text under there. So 100% money back guarantee or instant access, kind of touching on that time delay. So it's either touching on time delay or touching on some type of trust factor like money back guarantee, which is risk reversal. Okay. After that, most people want to have a graphic on their website. I recommend a video sales letter, right? We have super good video sales letter scripts in our agency that we use for our clients. I would advise you to kind of look into getting a VSL done and really putting a lot of emphasis and effort on your script for the VSL. It's the most important thing. Don't really worry about the editing at first. Just worry about having a really good script. And if you can't get a VSL, I would recommend having a picture of your face somewhere or showing your face. That's going to build a lot more trust. And then if you can't have that, then just have some type of relevant graphic, right? So if you're setting access to a Discord, you can have some type of screenshot to your Discord, something. It has to be relevant. Don't just put something because it looks cool. Like, don't put those little abstract shapes and stuff like that. That's not going to do nothing for you, That's not gonna do nothing for you, right? Unless you're already driving like very warm traffic to that website, don't really worry about that stuff. So some design guidelines. I'm not really gonna go over this. At the end of the day, the most important thing is just having these main fundamentals implemented into your hero section. You can go ahead and pause the video and look over our design guidelines. Um, but I want to touch on some common mistakes, right? So the biggest common mistake that I see all the time is generic stock photos that don't support your message, right? So I'm gonna pull up. Let me go to google.com, and if I just look up hero section for a landing page, I bet you I can find a bunch of examples. Hero section for. All right, so let's look, right? So first mistake that I see a lot of people make: generic stock photos. What does that look like? Where'd it go? Here we are. Bam. Don't put this on your website. What else? Here's a pretty good example. You see, so this is what I meant by having a headshot. So if this guy is the owner of this company and this is the hero section image, that will work. Is it the nicest looking thing? Probably not, but this builds trust. This works. This probably converts. He's missing a lot of things, but in terms of graphic, that's a better graphic than using something like this. Can work, relevant. Then using something like this. Don't do this. Don't use something like this. You know, unless you're like a software company and you're already driving warm traffic to your website. Even then, it's like it's not gonna do nothing for you. Let me see more examples. This, don't do this. Don't include stuff like this. Don't include stuff like this. This is good. You got a picture of a person. If this was the owner of the company, even better. Some social proof showing their platform. This is a very good example. Design wise, it's the best? Nah. I don't really like the design of it that much. But in terms of strategy, this is really good. Okay. Same thing here. This is a stock photo of a person, I can tell. But, you know, just because it's paired with this actual UI example of their app, it works good. More examples. Don't do something like this unless it's you. This is a good example of that relevant graphic that I was talking about. Relevant graphic. Relevant graphic. These look cool. They don't always perform the best. Whatever. It depends on what you're prioritizing. This can still have benefits. But for most info coaches and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't do something like that. All right. Let's look at a few more examples. Don't do this. Please don't do this. We got a Ferris wheel. Like, what is that? You see what I'm saying? This, for their niche, that can work, I guess. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? One more. Don't do that. Let's see, coaching. This can work for women. If that's the owner, that can work. Alright, whatever. You guys get the point. Alright. Bam, exit this out. Generic stock photos that don't support your message. Big no go. Do not do that. Another common mistake is that your copy is too long. All right, and you're making everything feel cluttered in your hero section. You don't need paragraphs. Don't like think in terms of bullet points when you're creating your website. People scan. People are in a rush. People are lazy. People's dopamine receptors are fried. You know, they're used to scrolling on reels. All right, remember that. Overloading with too much different information, you dilute your core message. All right. At the end of the day, you want to have your north star of your website. You want to understand what it is they're trying to do with your website, and that has to guide all your efforts on your website. Okay. If you have, you know, your main core offer, but then you don't really have a value ladder, and you have a bunch of other sub offers that aren't really directed or related to your core offer, don't try to fit all that into a landing page. You get me? Have your landing page just for your core offer, and then you can have a separate page to kind of highlight almost like a link tree your other different sub offers, right? If you have a value ladder that's different, you want to start off with, you know, your entry level offer that will lead to your main core offer. But if that's not what you're doing, again, just make sure you're putting all your focus on what your core message and your core offer is. Okay. So an example that I see of this a lot is, you know, somebody has a coaching program. They also have maybe free communities, but more than one. They might have one for beginners. They might have one for experts. Then they might also have a book. Then they might also have, and they have a bunch of these different things that they offer, but they're not tied into each other. They didn't really create a value ladder for this, and they try to include all of this on their website, and then people get kind of confused, lost. They don't know what to click on. They don't know where they should use or go. You want to guide them, all right? So again, don't put too much different information on your website. And also, in terms of design, you don't need to go crazy. You don't need to have crazy design, but it does need to be clean and visually pleasing, all right? If it's janky, if you're using crazy bright colors, if you're doing too much, that's also going to not only dilute your messaging, but just the overall perceived value that they might have on your business. All right. And then the last one is no clear visual hierarchy. All right. So what is visual hierarchy? You know, properly sizing your heading versus your subheading versus your pre-headline, you know, making sure that you're putting your testimonials in the right place, etc., etc., etc. Here are some mobile considerations if you're creating this on mobile. And now the important part, examples of how this should look. Okay. So opening up this wireframe. Okay. So this is how it can all come together. All right. So we have our main core components and elements that I talked about in the beginning. And this is a very simple, straightforward way on how you can lay it out. All right. So you have your pre-headline. And again, ignore the copy. A lot of this copy isn't really using the proper strategy. One of my teammates made this and they didn't really use a strategy, but they just laid out the wireframe. All right. So you have your pre-headline, your headline slash hook, sub-headline, big 3 bullets. You have your call to action. And you see your call to action isn't just saying sign up or get started, watch free training now. You have your review snippet. So this one will be a carousel, so it'll be constantly changing and swiping to different ones. Your time delay under the CTA, so get instant access. Your VSO, your trust bar, and your announcement bar. How does this look in an actual design? Here's an example of how you can put something like this together. So this is a bit of a different layout, right? You can see I kind of center aligned everything. I have my trust bar here, my announcement bar, last course update, trust bar. I have my pre-headline. Again, please ignore the copy. Right here, we should be calling out who our avatar is. This is just for the sake of showing you how this can all come together. Our main headline, sub-headline, call to action. We have the trust factor under the call to action, testimonials, big 3 bullets, VSO. All the core components above the fold. Something like this will outperform anything that you're doing right now if you are not including all these elements. If you're including all these elements, then I'm pretty sure you have a pretty well performing website, and I don't know what you're doing here. But if you're watching this video, it's because your website is not performing, and if it's not performing, it's because you're not including all of these elements that you see on the screen. All right. So here is what this can look like on mobile. Again, a big problem with having this many elements is fitting them all properly on mobile. And a big thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you're including all the core elements above the fold. You don't want to have people have to scroll down to find your call to action or see that you have a VSL. You want everything to fit in that first screen of your phone, right? So again, guys, it doesn't have to be rocket science. You don't have to have the craziest designs. The design doesn't have to look as this is a little bit of a simpler design for us, but it doesn't even have to look like this, right? You don't have to do something crazy complicated like this with these fading effects and these crazy background colors. You can just do something super simple along the lines of this. For example, if I just, kind of added a little bit more color, changed the font a little bit, added a video, I can literally use something that looks just like this, just as simple, and it would work great. All right. So that's the main approach on how we go about creating our hero sections at Verdict Studios. That is how I would recommend for you to fix your broken hero section. All right. So if you want access to this swipe file, and if you want access to some of these trainings on how you can actually go about creating these components, like the pre-headline, main headline, sub-headline, I'm most likely going to have a link somewhere around this video, depending on where you're watching this. If it's on YouTube, the link is probably going to be in the description. Anywhere else, might be somewhere else. But again, click the link down there. You'll be able to download it and get this entire breakdown and guide along with these trainings. And if you are interested in having my team help you actually implement this for you and create you a website and have a strategy not only for your hero section but for every single section of your website, and a strategy that has been proven to generate millions of dollars like we did for our clients, then go ahead and book a call. I'll have another link somewhere in the bio to book a call with our team, and we can go ahead and show you how we can create a strategy for you and do it for you up front. And you can go ahead and implement that with your team, or you can have our team implement it. So I hope this helped. Share it with somebody if you think it did. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to see on the next video. Peace out.